Okay, this is a replay analysis for the player Chaos EN2 in the Graf Spee. Player was asking for some feedback. I have some feedback. So, firstly, I would make some changes to your consumables. The defensive AA is not very necessary because there aren't very many carriers in the game at the moment. And if you're looking to defend yourself from air attack, you have the fighter plane for that. Also, if you're going to run the premium version of the repair party, you may as well just have the premium versions of the heal and the plane. And I would swap out for Hydro. It's especially helpful at finding destroyers and smoke screens. You're loading AP, that's good. Essentially, the Graf Spee is a cruiser with battleship guns, so it's worthwhile to take advantage of the very high damage output that you can give with such a small ship. I'm not exactly sure what you're doing with the controls at the moment, but it looks like you're zigzagging. It's a bit unnecessary. You don't need to kill your speed. Your speed is pretty good. And with a detection range of 11.2, and the first ship that you see is the Belfast, that's at 18k. You don't need to take such an extreme line away from the enemy team. But you're staying with the team, which is good. The Gade has been spotted. He's all the way over here. You should be turning in immediately to catch up with your Queen Elizabeth and your Bayern in front of you, and to stop moving towards the J line because you don't need to. I'm not happy with the fact that you loaded HE again for a Gade that is running away. That seems a bit like an unnecessary commitment to shell type. Yeah. But you've got the HE loaded now, so I mean that's fine. You can switch AP after the first salvo. Good start for damage. You're being targeted by something, so I know which skills you're running. Well, sort of which skills you're running. And you turn away, that's good. But you continue to fire the HE, and this is... It's not wrong, but in this situation, you can tell that the Bismarck is going to turn in all the way. And you're zigzagging again. You don't need to zigzag. In fact, by turning it out like this, you're presenting a nicer, flatter target for the things that are off in the foreline. So yeah, you hit the side of the Bismarck for 1,000 there. With AP, you would do upwards of 4,000, and that's just with a single shell penetration. So. And yeah, you get a fire, so it's some extra damage for you. But if you're shooting the superstructure of German battleships, then so you didn't actually hit him there. You killed him with fire because he'd already taken quite a lot of damage. But you're continuing to fire HE. Remember that this thing is essentially a battleship with cruiser detection, and it has torpedoes. The secondaries are not very good. I'm pleased to see that you turned in there. That's good. Best way of making a battleship rage is by making his shots over shoot. But again, you're still firing the high explosive. The high explosive is not necessary. You did 4,000 there. Like I said before, a single AP shell would do 4,000 damage. Now, there you had an opportunity to level a shot into the back of the Scharnhorst. I personally would have taken that shot, but I can understand why you didn't. I would have kept you spotted for perhaps the Fuso. I can totally understand why you didn't take that shot. Also, a thing to note is that the fighter plane that you can launch can be used for spotting, and it has an uptime of about 5 minutes, I think. You have a smoke screen along here. I would be using my plane if I didn't have hydro on, because I don't know where the gate has gone. And he's certainly not in front of me, so I don't know. And in this position, you would be able to spot the Fuso and the Scharnhorst who are moving into B for your team to get extra shots into them. Not really where those shots were going. Okay, at this point you get spotted, but you were spotted just a millisecond before you fired. That should be indicative that the destroyer has line of sight on you. And because he spotted you before you fired, it should be an indication that he is actually behind you. Your Queen Elizabeth, both your Queen Elizabeths in front have a good indication that the gate is not in front of you because, well, they'd have spotted him. So you spotted the DD. And I would have, myself, I would have fired before he had an opportunity to smoke up. If you've got a decent firing solution and you think that you're going to hit, always take the shot. Because if you don't take the shot, then, well, you're not going to get an opportunity to do damage. The wobbling, I believe, is because of your either your connection or your graphics card or something like that. It's not any kind of aim assist. I was curious, but it appears to level out later on, so I don't think there's anything on the board. Firing over rocks, that's good. Gave a little bit too much lead, but that's okay. It looks as if you were going to turn around and try and get the Gade. The Cleveland, the Fubuki are practically on top of him. All you're doing at this point is giving a nice broadside target to potentially the Fuso, who could pop out around the island and just slam shells into you. So this is a turn that is not necessary, and your allies would actually prefer if you were in a position to help them. The Gade is far out of range. More firing over rocks, that's good. If I might suggest something, you might want to track the shell in flight. Might give you a more clearer understanding of where your shells are landing, and that would give you an indication of how much you need to lead, or how much further back you need to aim. This is a precursory shot. I think you're assuming that Fuso was going to continue on his path, but it's quite obvious that he's stopped now. So you're still firing HE. And that's a pretty decent angle to get AP shells into. Good that you turned in and avoided most of that damage. And you're straightening up, which is good. But you actually don't need to straighten up, because you have the skill that tells you if someone's looking at you, and you're not even detected at this moment. Which means the Fuso is not going to be shooting you, he's been shooting the Bayern in front of him. Again, you could be watching these shells in flight to see how much you would have to adjust if you were looking to shoot the Cleveland some more. At this point, you could be turning out to get your all of your guns firing at the Fuso. You have the skill which tells you whether or not someone is aiming at you. It's quite obvious the Fuso is tunnel visioning the Bayern in front of him. Nice that you turned that way to see if you could get the killing shot on the New Orleans. Bayern was foolish. Fuso was very smart. Okay. At this point, I would be loading AP immediately, because the Megami in his position is going to move from there across in front of me. The only way that he's going to get out of moving across unmolested is if I start pumping AP into the side of him. He's going to show his entire broadside to you. And he's firing AP in return. The damage you start taking now is, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, like a hell of a lot. So yeah, you knocked out one of his guns and set him on fire. but he's still got more turrets than you do. And he has torpedoes. The reason I would run hydroacoustic search is for situations like this, where you have something or two things around you that you know can fire torpedoes. You see them now. So the Mogami has fired his torpedoes off, and he's going to disappear behind the island. It's nice that you got your torpedoes off. You waited until you were in a situation to make a decent idea. I don't know if you've done it already, but perhaps prioritizing your secondaries to fire at this guy would also give you a slight DPS advantage. Okay, so now you're in the full broadside position to the Mogami. I would have fired the torpedoes slightly ahead of the Mogami, just because in my experience, if they turn out or they turn in, it shortens the distance or lengthens the distance. It's always best to try and get your torpedoes or whatever away from where the lead reticle thinks that the enemy ship is going to be. All in all, not bad. You've fired a lot of high explosive. So a game that, I mean, you got 52k for it. That's not bad, but it could be a lot better. You could be looking at 60 to 70,000 damage instead of 52. I didn't see you use your plane at all. That's a bit of a disappointment. And like I said, the defensive AA is not all that effective. You can avoid bombs, you can avoid torpedoes just by, the WASD hacks. And you have a fighter plane for that kind of thing anyway. So, anyway, there you go. Some analysis for you.